3 friends go handcuffed into the box, only 2 friends can leave the box.
I've never felt more confident that I was safe.
The last person I ever thought would go home was him. Cameron and Jackson are both looking straight down at the ground. They won't make eye contact with me. I'm looking around. They won't look me in the eyes.
This is it.
Yeah, now we know after all these cards, the next card's gone.
Next card is going to lose. Hey guys, I am here with Andrew Bond, number 892 from Beast Games. I'm sitting down here in California with Andrew. We're just gonna go over some of the experiences that we had together in the Beast Games. We've known each other since Vegas, episode 0. Let's talk about kind of how we met, because you kind of found me actually in Vegas.
We actually have 3 amigos kind of going on a trio with a guy named Brandon. He's not here right now. What was he, 382?
No, he was the row next to me, so he was like 4, 6.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so never mind. I forget his number. Sorry, Brandon. We'll put him up on the screen. Anyway, so we had, me and Brandon had actually met initially in Vegas, and the very first thing that when we went into the stadium, the Raiders stadium, we saw a giant A-frame with what looked to be like giant boulders and some ropes. And we were like, you know what? We need to find a really strong team of people that can help pull these ropes, because we don't want to be on the wrong side of tug of war and get knocked out immediately. So we look around. I'm about 6 feet tall. I'm looking around and I see this behemoth guy over here. I looked at Brandon and I was like, yo, let's be smart and let's just go recruit him right now. If we get him early, he could just be on our team and we'll just crush this. Which actually ended up turning into an ally, because I walked up, he happened to be a super cool guy, and I asked you to be on our team and you were down to join the cause. So yeah, that's how we got the pink jerseys and we teamed up initially.
For sure. But the funny thing is, you're my best friend in Beast Games. In Vegas, we competed once together and we did not talk for like the rest of the time. We were like, good job pulling that boulder. And then we just didn't see each other again. When we got to Canada and we were loading up the bus, getting ready to go shoot episode 1, we actually were staying at the same hotel.
Yeah.
When you're around 1,000 strangers all experiencing this like super unique experience that no one else is gonna have, it creates these super tight bonds. I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm in his house now. Just a stranger to me a couple months ago, and now we're here filming together and talking about this crazy experience that only so few people have. It's kind of crazy. In episode 1, like we said, Brandon, you thought he was close to my number because it just kind of worked out that our numbers that were hundreds apart just panned out to be side by side. But he was super far away from us. He was like across the room, hundreds of people away. So we really didn't see him that much during episode 1. Me and Brandon were side by side. So we were talking and laughing and having the best time. And eventually, as you guys know, in episode 1, Brandon got eliminated, and it was heartbreaking because that was like my boy. Like all through episode 1, which it looked, probably like one day. It actually was multiple days, and after all that time, all of a sudden he's gone. After that, I would look back and make sure Andrew was still in there.
We would always look over and wave.
Give a little thumbs up.
You good? You good? Well, yeah, I'm good. On the towers, right when Brandon fell, we actually had a moment where we were just like, dude, I think it goes without saying, but are we a final 2?
Yeah.
We'll do everything to be final 2.
We both finally moved into the city, and that kind of kicked off where we became like really good friends. What was your favorite part of the city as a whole?
I think the experience of the city itself. It's something that 500 people got to experience, and I was like, we're doing something so extraordinary and so special that nobody's ever gonna get to do again. And from my knowledge, I think Jimmy actually had to tear the city down. So even if they do a season 2, no one else is gonna get to relive what we lived. That to me was just my favorite part of like experiencing something that is so rare. It almost felt like a dream. It was just so fun, man.
Oh my God. It was like, it was probably my favorite part of the whole show, was just living in that city
for weeks.
Because during the day, it was just so carefree. We were just throwing the football around, playing different games.
Ping pong, shooting hoops on a basketball court, like anything we wanted.
You'd wake up in the morning and be like, whoa, like this is my real life. I'm gonna go to the Feastables Cafe. I'm gonna grab my breakfast. I'm gonna go hit a shower, and then I'm just gonna hang out for the next 8 hours until it's showtime. In episode 2, we had to pick tokens out of a bag, and I pulled 3 no star, which put me on the game where you have to shoot the ball into the hoop down below. And Andrew here did not pull 3 no star.
I pulled 3 star. And what that basically means is we were going to be pinned up against each other. I was on one side of the tower, he was on the other.
We had a couple allies at that point in the city that we felt pretty confident with as a strong team. and a bunch of us pulled 3 no-star. We knew we were on the same team, and so we were all pumped up, and then we found Andrew and saw that he had the opposing token, and we were gonna have to go head-to-head. But luckily, there was a twist in the game where you were allowed to trade your token to someone else. And so we were like, dude, I don't care how you do it, you just need to go get on our team, or at least get off of that one, because we don't want to have to go against each other like that.
I was one of the first, if not the first, to find another girl. All her friends were in an opposite situation where they all grabbed 3-star. We just traded.
382 was my friend Jackson. He was right next to me on the platforms. He pulled a 3-star, so we were going to be going against him. But I knew, just having talked to him and kind of got to know him over episode 1, that he was a physical dude, and I thought he could be helpful to have on the team. And I also didn't want to knock him out because he was a friend. And so I found him and saw he was on that team. Same scenario. Do what you have to do and get yourself on this team. And he did, and we all survived because we all wound up on the same team. They cut my shot out of the show, which I thought was a little dirty because I swished my bucket. But you know, it happens. There's a lot of people, a lot of things going on, but I did make my bucket. I want it on the record. I mean, there's a shot of me cheering in there, I guess. But
same. That's all I got so far.
Yeah. So
me just going, yeah.
At the time of recording this, we have not even gotten to see episode 3, so we don't know how this actually plays out in the show. But we're gonna kind of discuss from our POV of kind of how that all went down in episode 3, because it was a brutal episode, man. It started off fun. It started off with a sack race. Jimmy told us to team up with 3 people, no consequence, just playing for a prize. We kind of had a feeling that our teammates that we picked might be our competition at some point, but we'd still rather play together than go play with strangers and almost risk being the odd man out in a different duo. We get our strong 3, we play our hearts out and try to win this competition and win the prize.
I think we were just willing to bet on ourselves right there. And I honestly, going back, I'd probably do the same thing again.
I think so
I would
too.
do the same thing again. Yeah, we had a really close sack race, and like Cam ended up doing a Superman dive across the finish line, and it's a really fun scene, but it just turns into such disaster when Jimmy goes, okay, guards, and they came out with these handcuffs and they cuffed us together.
We got led into this room with the red on the outside, white on the inside, little insane boxes that we got led into, trapped in, nothing but a red phone. We didn't know what this was gonna be. It said ask for anything. We were hoping we could get one of us out there with at least some sort of money prize, at least something to leave and be happy with. It was really hopeful thinking, and unfortunately that's not what it turned out to be. Call the phone, ask for anything to figure out who's gonna go home.
Anything, there's no rules. Anybody can do anything to decide, and one person out of the 3 has to willingly cuff themselves to the wall.
You have a couple hours to figure out one of you in here needs to leave, and if no one decides to leave, then all 3 of you go home. And that sucked. That was like that was not what I wanted to hear when we walked in there.
Yeah, it was pretty much 3 friends go handcuffed into the box, only 2 friends can leave the box.
Well, that's okay. So that's where I want to go into this with you, because when we sat down, there was a lot of discussion about what we were going to do in there, because it hadn't been pre-decided. We could order anything we want. We could figure out anything we wanted to do. So ideas were getting thrown all around. And one of the things I went into the game thinking was, I always want to have a hand in whatever I'm about to do. My favorite challenges were beer pong throw and the building the tower, because my fate was in my own hands. I hated all the luck in these games. From my POV, I was throwing out to you guys a lot of different challenges. I was like, let's try to make a trick shot, let's play a game, let's do something. We can each have our own game. Whoever loses the most leaves. Anything that kind of made it a competition, and yet that's not the way we went. So I kind of want to get your POV on what was going through your head and kind of how we landed on where we did.
So it was you, me, and Jackson all in the box together. The interesting part is he's 383, Jackson is 382, meaning in episode 1, you guys were pillar buddies. They became good friends. Now, fast forwarding, I don't know who Jackson is. When I went over to say hi and eat lunch with Cameron a couple times, he was like, oh yeah, that's Jackson. I'm like, hey bro, how's it going? Shook his hand, and then he went to say hi to his friends. I really didn't know the guy. So going into all of this, when we picked our teammates for the sack race, it was like, hey, I like this guy and he's super athletic. And I was like, yeah, he was cool. Like, let's bring him in. That's as far as I know the guy. So now we're in a box situation where I'm like really diehard close with this guy. I don't really know Jackson. So from my perspective, you got to imagine, you know both of us really well independently. We don't know each other. obviously, and it's no shade to Jackson, but I want you and I to go because I don't really know Jackson well, you know what I mean? But I can't be combative. I can't be like, okay, let's tag team up on Jackson because then he's going to feel threatened and defensive. Not that you would do that anyway, but in my mind, that's what I'm trying to facilitate and figure out. I'm just trying to be agreeable. So you were bringing up ideas, which I really liked more, to be honest, but I figured if I'm like too strong agreeing with you, he's going to feel threatened and be like, wait, are you guys teaming up on me?
I totally feel that, because that's one thing that's super highlighted in this game is there's the risk that if you guys decide on a game and that person loses and they say, sorry, I'm not leaving, everyone goes home.
Yep.
And that was part of the decision why I wanted to be in there with people I trusted, because right when we walked in the room, we said, whoever loses, no funny business, we're gonna just be a man, we're gonna cuff ourselves to this wall.
Yep.
And I know of people that had the same fear as us of, hey, if we sack race together, we're gonna have to go against each other, and so they didn't. But in those scenarios, they were the odd man out in their little boxes, and I saw multiple groups of friends leave when only one of them would have had to if they would have just gone together. One of us was gonna leave, but at least two of us was gonna go on. Mm-hmm. I still don't regret that decision. I still wish we could have gone with a more, let us compete for ourselves in the game, but
Cam was like, look, guy, and I let him take the lead because, again, he knows both of us. We don't know each other. We got to come up with like a game or some way to like figure it out and compete against each other. And then like the loser goes home. And then we're sitting there like, okay, cool. Let's come up with a way to compete.
Just a little insight into my brain. When I was coming up with some of like the accuracy, like shooting hoops and stuff, Jackson is like a hooper. Like that was his thing. And I was like, maybe he'll get in on that and we can actually play a game. I don't know. The energy was a little weird in that room.
The energy shifted.
It felt like it wasn't gonna ever end that way, that we were gonna have a competition. And I didn't want it to be leaning in any specific way. Like I didn't want to pick something I was super great at just to make other people lose. That's why I came up with something like trick shots, where it's it's kind of luck of the draw.
Jackson got combatant a little bit, and he was like, all right, fine, I'll compete, but we're gonna play chess. And I'm like, dude, I barely remember what the pieces do. He didn't want to compete in anything that, he wasn't like for sure gonna win. And I'm like, dude, that's not gonna work for me because I don't really know how to play chess. Jackson was like, let's just go all completely luck based. Cameron didn't like that idea. I didn't love it either, but I was just like trying to be agreeable with both Cameron and Jackson. I wish we would have competed because I know for me, if I would have lost competing, I'm like, damn, I lost, but you guys beat me. And I can live with that at the end of the day. Not like, oh, it's some random dumb luck challenge, which is kind of what it ended up being.
I mean, we all had to agree to the game, so I take some fault in that as well. I mean, hindsight's 2020. Everyone had a fair shot. It went down the way it did. We ended up just ordering a deck of cards and keeping it nice and simple.
Well, wait, we ordered more than that.
Man.
Remember, we said we were in the city for like a week. Me and Cam were sitting there like, man, you know what sounds good? Pizza. Like, we could have got fancy. Some people asked for a tattoo artist, a horse, like just crazy, wild things, right? And we thought about it, but we were like, guys, let's just get this over with. I can't sit here for 3-4 hours and like deal with the anxiety of all of this. It was so stressful to know that like you could go home or I could go home. And it was really just like killing us. So let's be really simple about things. Let's order a deck of playing cards and a pepperoni pizza. We'll have one final meal together and we'll play a game.
Yep. And then we got our first delivery and we're like, oh, pizza's here.
Yep.
Nope. It was a deck of cards.
A deck of cards, and we sat there. We kept calling like, hey, is the pizza coming? Whatever. It wouldn't come. I will take a little bit of fault. I was kind of pressuring like, guys, can we just play the game? I'm really, really nervous. Like I just want to get this done because I do suffer from anxiety. I was so stressed out. You could probably see it on my face and my reaction if they show that in the show. Like,
yeah.
Me bursting out crying and all that. Like, I was very anxious. I was just like, guys, can we do it? Can we do it? And I know you were kind of like, no, like let's extend time. And now I wish we would have, but we didn't. I kind of pushed it.
I guess here's a question for you. Hindsight being 2020, and we just decided to not play right away. What is one thing you would have ordered on that phone and had delivered to our room? Because we could have asked for anything. People had some crazy stuff.
I wanted to have fun. Okay, actually, I had an idea. I actually saw Jimmy, and I said, you're a content genius. You're an idea master. What's a good idea for us, man? And he said, you know what would be really funny? Call me, have me come in there with my cell phone, and I'll FaceTime Nolan's mom. And then I'll have Nolan's mom look at you. We won't give her any context and just tell her, pick one person. That person gets eliminated. And I said, you know what? That's a really good idea. Also, because it's Jimmy's brainchild and he'd be a part of it, that'll get in the show. That's awesome.
I was on board at first, but then I thought about it. looking at us side by side, we're just brunette dudes with beards, and we look more similar than Jackson. And thinking about that, I was like, me and you have way worse odds. She's gonna pick one of the two people that look more similar, just as sort of fairness. All right, so let's go back to game time.
Yes, game time. So what did we decide to do?
So we waited forever for our pizza. It never came. We just had this deck of cards looming over us, and is that the deck of cards?
This is not the deck of cards.
I was gonna say, dude,
I wanted to cause you
pull.
PTSD by pulling a deck of cards out right now.
I was gonna say,
I want you to hold these
that.
in your hand when you explain this.
So the guards come in, they hand us our deck of cards, and we came up with a game where it was a 3 strikes and you're out type system. We just spread the cards all over the floor. You pick a card, we all show our card. Lowest card is a strike. 3 strikes, you're out. If you pull 3 of the lowest, then you're out.
First card we draw. Boom. I have the low card. Strike 1 for me. 1, 2, 3. Flip. I have the lowest card again. 0 Cameron, 0 Jackson. I have 2 strikes. 1 more strike, I'm out. Cameron and Jackson are both looking straight down at the ground. They won't make eye contact with me. I'm looking around. They won't look me in the eyes because everybody knew I was about to go home.
And then the next card
The
goes.
next card,
It's Jackson.
Jackson gets the low.
And the next
Next
card
card,
gets pulled.
Jackson.
So
Cameron has 0. Jackson has 2. I have 2.
I've never felt more confident that I was safe. All I had to do was not pull the low card one time in the next 3 rounds. I had high anxiety at first, and it like evaporated at that point. I was like, okay, I'm going on. Who's going with me? Next round goes, we flip it. I have the low card.
Still not a big
everyone's
deal.
like, fine, okay. Then I pull the next one, low card again, and then we're all like,
2, 2, 2.
ooh, we all take a deep breath because we
And,
know
yeah.
this is it.
Yeah, now we know after all these cards, the next
person-
card's gone.
Next
Someone's
card
gone.
is going to lose. Like, I did not want to flip that next card. Like,
Yeah.
I felt horrible about it. And so we all go in for our last card, and I pull mine, and I have a 9. I think I'm good. And then I look up at the other two, and both have face cards. So I lose low card game on a 9 and 3 in a row. I know I was on all 4s, and I know I smacked the hell out of the ground.
Yeah, you did. It wasn't rage, it wasn't anger, it wasn't hate, it was emotion because it was so emotionally charged. And the second it happened, I immediately burst out in tears. The last person I ever thought would go home was him.
I don't even know what the odds are that it played out like that, and I still can't really believe that's how it all went down. Just the 2, 2, and then 3, like that. It was crazy. I was just like really trying to take it in and like hold it together, because when you get $5 million ripped away from you, leaving the city and you're leaving your friends, and you've been through so much and you've turned down so many opportunities to make it to that point, it's a devastating feeling when you get knocked out from just some bad luck, 3 bad draws in a row. And I kind of felt both of you guys like hover over me. And one thing that makes me laugh when I think back is we're having this moment. We're in this like huddle. All of us are like crying together, holding each other. And then I hear up above in the window, I hear,
Open a giant wooden door in the side of the box and there's like,
so how are you guys feeling? I was like, how do you think we're feeling? Like, look at
Dude.
us. Like, pretty bad, man. I don't even remember what I said.
was there ever a moment where you were like, I'm not gonna handcuff myself? Like, no.
Oh, 100% there was not that moment.
Okay, I was just curious. Like, I didn't think there was, but I'm just like, I didn't get out in that moment. I wouldn't have either. I really don't think.
Either way in that scenario, it's I'm going home and I'm with my friends. Why would I do that to them? That's where I heard stories of people after the show ended that I was talking to in the airport, and they're like, I lost my game, but I didn't know who I was with, so I didn't handcuff myself, and we all went home. And I was like, okay, that solidifies my decision of why we went in as friends.
Cam's like, yeah, well, let's just spend like, dude, we have 4 hours. Let's just like kick it for a couple hours and like.
We tried to call and we were like, yo, let's just hang out as boys for these last couple hours. We're like, can we get a couch? Can we get a TV? Can we get a dartboard?
Yeah, we were
and
thinking
they
of all
were
this
like,
stuff.
yeah, and they were like, no. So we had one final Hail Mary. Let's get Jimmy in here if possible, and let's see if we can kind of convince him and be like, hey, one of us will eliminate ourselves right now if you give us another opportunity, whether it's in a Mr. Beast video, whether it's season 2, just another opportunity in the future. He picks up the phone, and I'm expecting him to talk to the guard and ask for Jimmy, but he picks up the phone and he's like, oh, yeah, we were gonna ask for you. And I was like, oh, is that Jimmy on the phone?
Before it was guards answering, like you didn't know who it was. And it was like, Jimmy, we need you. We're ready to handcuff ourselves right now. And we need you to come to our box. He was like, okay.
Jimmy walks in. We've already decided who's going home. And he's like, oh, okay. And we're like, can you guess just based on like what our reactions are, what our faces look like, who it is? And he's like, this guy.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell, Jimmy? Why do you think it's me? He's like, I don't know. You just look like you were going home. And I was like, bro.
We're like, okay, we wanted to do one final Hail Mary. So we are willing to throw the handcuff on right now. If you can promise us that whoever does it has an opportunity to be in another Beast production, whether it's season 2, one of your YouTube videos, just another chance to compete. And he said, there's a long list, but I'll add you to it, deal. And so I said, all right. And I walked over to that wall, slapped that cuff on. And yeah, Jimmy was like, whoa. I don't know if he wasn't expecting us to do it that fast or if who it was, I don't know.
I think it just surprised him it was you.
I mean, after Jimmy made that promise and I cuffed myself to it, it was like, I mean, everyone left the room and I was just kind of left alone in there and cuffed to the wall. The camera stayed for a little bit, interviewed me, asked kind of just the emotions I was feeling, kind of how it all went down. The guard came and got me. I started to head to the exit and I passed Jimmy on the way. He was down doing some stuff with the cameras. And I walked by, and as I did, I stopped the guard and I was like, hey, would it be cool if I like turned back and just said thank you to Jimmy? Like, just to be a part of this experience was so cool. I just want to make sure I like thank him for it. And the guard was like, yeah, go for it. You're cool. Jimmy was looking down at some footage, and this is right after I got eliminated. So he was looking at footage of me getting eliminated. And he was like, oh, cool. I actually wanted to show you this. On the monitor, it was a shot of him as you guys left and him standing in front of the door, and he goes, whew, like that was a lot. And then he like walks away, but he didn't close the door all the way and it kind of creeps open and you see me just head down, cuffed to the wall. And he was like, that shot is like dope. And I'm like, I hope that makes the show. We haven't seen episode 3 yet, so we don't know what you guys are actually gonna see of this. And that's kind of why we wanted to break down what our situation was in that box, because you guys might not see it all, but man, it was intense in there.
I'm gonna make sure to make a couple videos as well on like what happens next and what happened after, because I struggled really bad without Cameron. And the expectation there was that we were gonna go till the end.
For sure.
We were going to go. And in fact, like, do you want to share that one moment we had on the couch by the ping pong tables?
While people are just walking around the city having conversations, there were producers roaming around, kind of just listening in. And when they would hear a conversation they'd say, hey, we love what you guys are talking about. Do you guys want to come sit over here with a camera crew and kind of rehash that? As you guys saw at the start of episode 3, 4 captains turned down $1 million, even though they could have stayed in the game and gotten $1 million. We were talking about how crazy that was, because that was insane. And they heard us talking about it and they're like, hey, can we bring a crew over? And so they started filming us.
And Cameron starts talking about like, I really think like we could go all the way to the end. And he's like, Andrew and I wanted to, fight together and make it until like the finale and this and that. And I looked at Cameron, I was like, Cam, if anybody's gonna take you out of this game, I want it to be me. The whole production team, the camera operators, everyone's just busting up. They're like, oh my God.
I was like, bro.
And he's like, what? And I was like, I didn't mean it like that. I meant like we would be in the final, top 10. And like, I wanted it to be us two in the end fighting for the championship, which would have been really cool.
Yeah.
The amount of foreshadowing in that statement right there and that interaction between us, 48 hours later, I did take him out of the game.
It got emotional in our cube. And so you guys probably know by now if we're in it or not. Whether or not we're in it, I just wanted to kind of break down how that situation went for people that might be wondering how I got eliminated, how it all went down. Show was awesome. I was super happy to be a part of it. I'm bummed they cut my shot out of episode 2. Just know I made my bucket. And Jimmy, I hope you're a man of your word, because I'm coming back and I'm gonna compete on another Mr. Beast project and I'm gonna win that one, I promise.
Everybody tag Mr. Beast in the comment section below and let him know that 383 and 892 need to come back for Beast Games Season 2.
And I want to make sure you follow @Boxy on YouTube. I'm going to throw it up on the screen. Make sure to follow his YouTube channel. Amazing content, always. Make sure you follow him for not only Beast Games updates, but for just all his tech reviews. Dude's awesome. I feel super lucky to have met you there. And it was a pleasure, brother.
Love you, dude.
Appreciate you, man.